Welcome to part two of our interview with progressive stalwart Dennis Kucinich, running for governor in Ohio. Okay, so now you're not taking any corporate PAC money? You don't take corporate money?
No. I have to, I'm not keeping a daily count on the money that's coming in, but my campaign has been instructed not to take any corporate PACs. If any have showed up, we'll just send them back. But I don't go out seeking them. My role as governor of Ohio, should I be elected, is to transform the politics of the state so that it's not run by political insiders. It's not run by party officials. It's not run by lobbyists or lawyers who represent them. The motto of our campaign is #power to we the people. And that reflects a sensibility that says that it's time really to live this promise of government of the people and to really put the power in the hands of the people for their health, not-for-profit health care, for the environment, stop fracking and the injection of toxic waste in Ohio, for education, eliminate the for-profit charters, which are taking $1 billion a year out of the education budget, and on and on, and to challenge the NRA frontally by moving for an assault weapons ban in Ohio, and to challenge the prison industrial complex. Look, these private for-profit prisons that are going on, I intend to shut them down. It's a disgrace that in a democratic society you can have prisons run by private interests, and we need broad criminal justice reform in Ohio. The people have been put in jail for minor drug offenses, for marijuana. I'm going to use the power of pardon and commutation to change that, and I'm going to end the death penalty in Ohio. So when you look at those kinds of changes, it will have a ripple effect across the country when they see someone who is a Democrat, running as a Democrat, moving forward for transformative change. And I'm confident that we can do that.
So you're going up against the people who want to privatize education, right? Big money in that. Charter schools, big money in that, even though the research shows that charter schools don't perform or better or worse than the schools in their districts or comparable, so they're not better at all.
You're right.
And so you're all going up against the healthcare industry, the big pharma industry, the military-industrial complex, private prisons, and the NRA. So you are going to make a lot of powerful enemies. You already have, right? So that's what that's about. So you're going to have a lot of big enemies coming at you. And is that smart to take on that many enemies at one time? I mean, we need someone like you fighting for sure.
You know what? I'm talking to you from my home in Cleveland, Ohio, which I have had since 1971. I bought it for $22,500. This is the neighborhood that I live in. It's working men and women of all colors, and that's who my obligation is to. I don't think in terms of enemies. I don't look at the world that way. I also live without fear. The French word for, or rather the word courage, the root word is a French word coeur, and it's heart. So my strength comes from the heart. My courage comes from the heart. I'm really not afraid of anyone. And people need someone who has that kind of life experience where you realize that if you're willing to take a stand and speak the truth, you need not fear anyone. And so, on a spiritual basis, one must have confidence in one's purpose and just accept things and move on. But as far as fear, let me tell you something, Jimmy. I'm not a guy that those interests can intimidate.
That's great to hear. Can you tell us how you can, at the state level, because right now I'm living in California, and we have a supermajority Democrat in our legislature, plus we have Jerry Brown as our governor, so Democrats are totally in control. We have the 6th largest economy in the world. Yet they still can't find a way to bring single payer to California. Now, how would you be able to do that in Ohio? Would you be able to do that, and how?
Oh yeah, but am I saying I'm going to do it alone? Absolutely not. I'll go to the people, because what I've seen across the state is a willingness to go towards a not-for-profit healthcare system. These insurance companies are really running medicine, they're running healthcare, and they're running people into the ground financially. So what I will do, here's how I intend to do it, is to go district by district and hold meetings with thousands of people and rally the people to their own cause, to the cause of their financial existence, to the cause of their health, to the health of the state, to the stability of our businesses. I mean, these are all things that I feel that the state is ready for. And so I'm ready to do that, Jimmy. When I wrote the bill, H.R. 676, Medicare for All in Congress, I campaigned around the country on it. I brought it in places where, there were upscale, others not so, and people were ready to accept it. It just, somebody needs to lead the way, and I'm prepared to do that.
So, are you also offering a jobs program for Ohio, or what is exactly your plan?
Well, here's the way it'll work. Ohio has literally billions of dollars in infrastructure needs that have not been met for a decade or two. And our capacity to finance those at this point is limited. Here's why. You can finance up to 5% of the biennial budget, which at this point is between $3.5 and $4 billion. But some of that's already committed, and as the bonds are retired, you can issue new ones, but we'll never be able to meet the needs of rebuilding our roads, bridges, water system, sewer system. Here's what I intend to do. I'll go to the people and ask for approval to lift the cap on the limitation on how much can be issued for public purposes, how much financing, and ask the people to approve an issue that would probably be in the nature of $20, $30 billion. And will create the kind of jobs. Every billion you spend for infrastructure creates about 13,000 jobs. So my hope would be to create over 100,000 jobs and to put Ohio back to work, rebuilding Ohio. And what happens when you do that? It's an investment. It's an investment. You get more businesses. You have people working. They're paying taxes. It primes the pump of the economy. I want to get Ohio's economy moving, and we can also work in alternative energy programs into that. There's so many things that can be done, but we have to take the leadership and show the direction that we can go instead of this incremental approach where it's just very limited approach to government. People want to be a functionary when a governor needs to be a visionary. And I'm ready to take this new vision of what a state can do. I think it was the prophet Isaiah was said to have written that without vision, a people perish. And I think that's true. I think that's probably truer today in our society than ever. And people need to have leaders who are willing to chart a new course and show a society what's possible. And that's what this campaign is about. But that's what I've tried to be about my entire career.
So I think one way people are talking right now, one way to fund infrastructure programs at a reduced rate would be state banks. Have you looked into that?
I've looked into it. I'm open to that discussion. I'm not running on that currently. What I have done, by the way, is I wrote a bill in Congress, H.R. 2990, I believe was the number, and here's what it was about. It was about it came from the American Monetary Institute, and it has to do with taking away the power of the Fed, which really is an institution that was established by private banks for private banks in 1913 through the Federal Reserve Act. Take the money power, which is by constitutional right under Article 1, Section 8 belongs to the people through Congress, and create an institution within the Treasury that can issue funds, spend them into circulation to meet the infrastructure needs of the country, to meet health care for America, to meet the concerns about people and their retirement security. This bill is really the path towards transforming the entire country, of lifting us out of poverty, of making every person self-sufficient, of giving people the ability to create a great life, of educating all of our children, of rebuilding our country and our neighborhoods. And there's an unlimited potential in this country. And the bill that I wrote, which really set the stage for the job creation, is something that anybody can look up on the internet. But I haven't given sufficient time to consider how I could implement something like that in Ohio, because Ohio, as a state, doesn't have control over the money power the way the Constitution essentially enables Congress to do that. So that's why I wrote that bill, so that Congress would be able to take that power back and meet the needs of the country. There wouldn't be any poverty. There doesn't, in America, there does not need to be poverty. You could enable people to be able to have an income. I want every able-bodied person to be able to work, as it should be. But for people who can't, why should they dwell in poverty? We need to show people the wealth-building capacity we all have. And I think that's what I want to do. Now, with respect to Ohio and the banks, I'll look at everything. I'm not hobbled by connections to any interest group that would stop me from being able to take the state in a direction of economic justice, of social justice, of really enabling people to find that government can be a vehicle for uplifting people's lives. And I certainly want to do that.
Well, you've been very generous with your time. Thanks for spending time with us. I have one final question. A lot of progressives are very downtrodden, and they don't feel that they have a party that represents them. And what's your message to the young progressives who've experienced what they've experienced ever since Bernie Sanders started his campaign?
Well, it seems that the party structure is omnipotent, but they're not. They're fearful and they're ready to be flipped over. Think of Shelley's poem, Prometheus Unbound, the last part of it, where he writes about defying power which seems omnipotent. And he says that this is to be joyous and free. This is a moment when we must call upon our humanity, our heart, our spirit, our capacity to change things, get involved, and make it happen. And don't be afraid of challenging these structures, because, Jefferson said that institutions have to evolve with the mind of man and women, and to make that happen, it takes our own initiative. So to all those young people out there, if you live in Ohio, join us. Go to Kucinich.com. Help us get that vote out in the next 2 weeks. But I'll also tell you this, that there is no institution which is impervious to change. And so we need to summon our great strength that we have, a spiritual strength, a strength of the heart, and go for it.
Dennis Kucinich, running for governor in Ohio. Thank you so much for being our guest. We wish you the best of luck in bringing progressive politics to Ohio.
Jimmy, I really appreciate a chance to be on here. And again, anyone watching wants to help out, contribute or whatever, go to Kucinich.com. We have 2 weeks before the election, and I hope that I'll be able to join you afterwards as the Democratic nominee in Ohio. I'm sure working on it.
Okay. Best of luck.
Thank you, Jimmy.
Please make sure you're subscribed. It only takes a second. Make sure you're subscribed and click that bell so they give you a notice whenever we drop a video. And if you can become a patron, we give you hours of bonus material every week. Our next live show is June 30th in Portland, Oregon. And we do a super solid chat every Saturday. That's our live stream. You can ask us questions and we answer back. That's Saturdays at 2 p.m. Pacific. Plus, we're on Steam It. We're steaming it right now.